Hello again, my fellow MMO fanatics. We are always looking at new MMOs to play, and a lot of new people have been looking at and trying the Elder Scrolls Online. Today, I want to take the time to kind of go over some of the basics to give you the knowledge so you can choose the job for how you want to play. I'm also going to go over some of the things you're going to want to do as soon as you get out of the tutorial. Without further ado, let's talk about races and jobs. Okay, friendos, let's jump right on into this. There is a total of 10 different races in ESO, and hopefully with this video it will help you determine what kind of race you want to choose. Each of the races has different and unique passives that I will explain. There are a total of 3 alliances in the Elder Scrolls Online. Each of those has different races. I'll also try to explain what race you should preferably choose for which setup. There is also a way to unlock all the races for alliances, and that's with the purchase of the Any Race, Any Alliance perk you can get from the Crown Store. Now, starting off, we have Breton. Breton's racial passives have a strong focus on Magicka. Increased Magicka, increased spell resistance, and Magicka ability cost reduction. Makes them a good magic-based race, often used on magic damage dealers. The Opportunist perk increases your alliance points gained by 1%. You have Gift of the Magus, increases your max Magicka by 2,000. You have Spell Attunement, gain 2,310 spell resistance and 100 Magicka recovery. The spell resistance granted by this effect is doubled if you're afflicted with burning, chilled, or concussed. Magicka Mastery, which reduces the Magicka cost of all your abilities by 7%. Now, second race we have is the Red Guard. Now, both the Breton, Red Guard, and Orc are part of the Daggerfall Covenant. Now, with the Red Guards, they are the masters of sustain. Their cost reduction passive on all weapon abilities and their Adrenaline Rush passive increases your sustain more than any other race. It can also be wise to use a more weapon ability focused setup as a Red Guard to benefit from the cost reduction even more. Also, do not forget the cost reduction also affects your weapon ultimates. Their first racial perk is Wayfarer, increases the duration of eating food by 15 minutes. You have Martial Training, which reduces the cost of your weapon abilities by 8% and reduces the effectiveness of stairs applied by 15%. Conditioning, which increases your max stamina by 2,000. And then Adrenaline Rush, when you deal direct damage, you restore 950 stamina. This can only occur once every 5 seconds. Now, your third race that is part of the Daggerfall Covenant is the Orcs. Orcs are one of the strongest stamina races, both for PvE and PvP. 2,000 max stamina and 256 weapon damage both scale up even further with modifiers. And on top of that, they also get a 1,000 health boost, which means they can run gold sustained food and still have decent amount of health. Other than that, they also benefit from faster running speeds, which makes them very fierce in PvP. Their first perk is Craftsman, which increases your crafting inspiration gained by 10%, which makes them a very valuable crafting class as well. Brawny, which increases your max stamina by 2,000. You have Unflinching, which grants 1,000 max health and heals you for up to 600 when you deal damage with a weapon with a 4-second cooldown. Swift Warrior increases your weapon damage by 258 and reduces the cost of your sprint ability by 12%. And increases your movement speed while sprinting by 10%. Okay, for our second set of races, we have the Aldmeri Dominion. And under the Aldmeri Dominion, you have High Elf, Wood Elf, and Khajiit. The first class is going to be the High Elf or Altmer. Altmers are one of the strongest Magicka-based races. 2,000 max Magicka and 258 spell damage also scale further with modifiers. Most people do run gold sustain food with this race to help with sustain. On top of that, it reduces damage taken by 5% while you are using an ability with a cast or channel time. Their first racial perk is Highborn, which increases your experience gain by 1%, increasing experience gain with the destructive size skill line by 15%. Your spell Recharge perk, which restores 645 magicka or stamina based on whichever is lower after activating a class ability. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds. Reduces damage taken by 5% while you are using an ability with a cast or channel time. Sirabane's Boon, which increases your max magicka by 2,000, and Elemental Talent, which increases your spell damage by 250. Our second race that is part of the Aldmeri Dominion is the small and diminutive Wood Elves, or Bosmer. Bosmer racial passives have a strong focus on stealth-based gameplay style. 2,000 max magic, 2,000 max stamina, and 258 stamina recovery that can be further increased with modifiers. They are also very good at detecting enemies thanks to the increased detection radius. On top of that, they also gain faster movement speed and increased penetration after a dodge roll, which makes them especially dangerous as stamina Nightblades. Their first racial perk is Acrobat, which decreases your fall damage taken by 10% and increases experience gain with the bow skill line by 15%. Y'ffre's Endurance, which increases your stamina recovery by 258. Resist Affliction, which increases your max stamina by 2,000 and your poison resistance by 2310. You're immune to poison and status effect. Hunter's Eye increases your stealth detection radius by 3 meters. After you use roll dodge, you gain 10% movement speed and 1500 physical and spell penetration per 6 seconds. Okay, for our third race that comes with the Aldmeri Dominion, we have the Khajiit, or the cat race. The Khajiit racial passives are both good for magicka and stamina based setups. Both stamina and magicka benefit from the extra critical damage buff. On top of that, they also get 825 max health, magicka, and stamina, which is not a lot, but again, that way you can run gold sustain food and pretty good sustain without, and get pretty good sustain without having too low health or resources. Khajiit are also the prime race for gankers, as the critical damage modifier really pushes up the critical hits on enemies. They're also harder to detect than other races due to the detection radius reduction by 3 meters. Their first racial perk is the Cut Purse. Increase your chance to successfully pickpocket by 5% and increases your experience gain with the medium armor skill line by 15%. Your Robustness perk increases your health recovery by 100 and your stamina and magicka recovery by 85. Lunar Blessings increases your max health, magicka, and stamina by 825. And your Feline Ambush increases your critical damage and critical healing by 10% and reduces your detection radius and stealth by 3 meters. Now, our third alliance is the Ebonheart Pact. And with this alliance, you have the Argonians, the Dark Elves, and the Nords. The first race in this group is the Nords. The Nord racial passives have a strong focus on tanking based passives. Increased max stamina and health, extra physical and spell resistance, and also more cold resistance. On top of that, they also get one of the most important passives, extra ultimate regeneration. Ultimate regeneration is always important, be it in PvP or PvE. Your Reveler perk increases experience gain with the two-handed skill line by 15% and increases the duration of any consumed drink by 15 minutes. Stalwart increases your max stamina by 1500 when you take damage. You gain 5 ultimate. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. Resist Frost increases your max health by 1000 and your cold resistance by 2310. You are also immune to the chilled status effect. Rugged increases your physical and spell resistance by 3960. Our second race is the Dark Elves, or the Dunmer. The Dunmer racial passives let you pay both stamina and magicka based setups. They are not really best at playing stamina or magicka, but again, you can easily swap between each of those without having to race change. If you want to play a hybrid setup, then Dark Elves are a very good choice because of the double stats they get. They also get flame resistance, which can be helpful if you're a vampire. Your Ashlander perk increases the experience gained with the dual wield skill line by 15% and reduces your damage taken by environmental lava by 50%. Your Dynamic perk increases your max stamina and max magicka by 1875. The Resist Flame perk increases your flames resistance by 2310, and you're also immune to the burning status effect. The Ruination perk increases your weapon and spell damage by 258. The last race we have as part of the Ebonheart pack is the Argonians. The Argonians' racial passives are focused on healing and tanking. Increased resource return when you drink a potion, increased max health, increased disease resistance, and increased healing done. Argonians are often used on tank setups due to their passives. The Reversal passive also makes them one of the best races in order to improve sustain tremendously. Your Amphibian perk increases your experience gain with the Restoration Staff by 15% and increases swimming speed by 50%. The Resourceful perk increases your max magicka by 1000 and restores 4000 health, magicka, and stamina when you drink a potion. Argonian Resistance increases your max health by 1000 and your disease resistance by 2310. You are immune to the diseased status effect. And Lifemender increases your healing done by 6%. Now, we have a race that is not part of any of the alliances. It's the one race, if you purchase it, it can go with any, unless you have the any alliance, any race from the Crown Store. The Imperial race. The Imperial race's passives are focused on stamina and health. Increased max health, max stamina gives them a big extra piece of resources compared to other races. Having that much health makes it possible to run gold sustain food, which will make resource management easier. They also get 3% cost reduction, which applies to everything, including ultimates. Their Diplomat perk increases experience gain with one-handed and shield line by 15% and increases your gold gain by 1%. Your Tough perk increases your max health by 2000, and Imperial Metal increases your max stamina by 2000. The Red Diamond perk, when you deal damage or when you deal direct damage, you restore 333 health, magicka, and stamina. This effect has a 5-second cooldown and grants 3% cost reduction to all abilities. Now that we've gone over the races, I'm going to go ahead and move us forward to classes. Okay, so with our classes, we'll start off. You have your Dragon Knight, your Sorcerer, your Nightblade, your Warden, Necromancer, and Templars. Your Warden comes with part of the base game if you have the Morrowind expansion. If you buy the latest version of the game now, the base game will come with Warden. If you get the Elsewhere expansion, you also get Necromancer. Now with your classes, your Dragon Knight's one of your first one. It is more of a tank. It's got a lot of tank builds. You will also see they're very good damage dealers as well. But if you really want a tank class, it's a really good class choice to go with. Your Sorcerers are one of the hardest hitting damage dealers in the game. Like right now they hold like the highest DPS. They have magicka and stamina builds for them as well. I will link in the description below a website that has great beginner guides to classes. You have your Nightblades, which are your more stealthy type. They also have magicka and stamina builds. And as with all classes, you can use any weapon in the game you choose. Obviously, there's builds that have better choices for weapons. With your Templar, they are your holy healers. They have a tank version you can do DPS, and you can also be a healer. They also have magicka and stamina builds as well. All the classes have magicka or stamina versions. Your Wardens are really good healers as well. They also have really strong tank classes, and they also get pets that they can use. They have pet builds as well. And then your Necromancer is your class that's really good with damage dealing. They also have a tank build. And they also have a healing build as well. They have magicka and stamina as well that you can use depending on how you morph. Your Necromancers are using the undead. There's some that they use death as part of their way of playing. Now that we've went over the classes is like a general knowledge of them. We're going to get set up here, and once I get to the certain point, I will continue the video and show you some of the things to get as soon as you start out. Until then, we'll be back later. We'll be back momentarily. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the tutorial. If you have the Elsewhere expansion, it will put you here in Elsewhere. That's where your tutorial section will be. If you have the Somerset expansion, but not Elsewhere, your characters start off in an area in Somerset. And if you have Morrowind, you'll start off there. If you don't have any of the expansions, you will start off in whatever base city is for your alliance. Now, when you first get out of the tutorial, there's going to be a few things you're going to want to do or to grab. And initially, I'm going to show you. If you run forward, if you're in Elsewhere, you just get yourself to a way shrine so you can teleport for free, so you don't have to worry about it. Running, 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 we're running over here. We're running. Once you've located a way shrine, the places I tend to go when I first start a character is going to be the base city. Or I'm a Daggerfall fanatic, so I go to Daggerfall for my initial runnings. So we'll travel to Daggerfall, and when we get there, I will show you a few things that you will want to grab initially at the starting of your character. Some things that you want to have so you can start leveling certain skill lines. Now, yeah, I don't want you. Once you get to Daggerfall, let me set a mount. Hold on. Once you get to Daggerfall, there's going to be a couple places you're going to want to go. The first two places you want to go is going to be the Mages Guild, which is just south of the Way Shrine in Daggerfall, and the Fighters Guild. They're right side by side. That's two things you're going to want to do when you first get out of the tutorial, is to go ahead and join those two guilds. That way, you're leveling those two skill lines. Now, once you join the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild, one of the other things you're going to want to do is go down to the crafting area and get all your certifications in crafting. You get all your crafting certifications. That way you can do your daily writs and things of that nature. Because crafting in the game is easy, and just why not? And while you're being a crafter and every day, just make sure to keep researches going. That way, because some of the researches can take, once you get to the later portion of it, some of your last few skills from researches is going to take up to a month. So always try to keep researches going. Now, as you progress through your stories, you can literally go to any zone and start leveling in this game. So you can do your Dagger Falls area, or you can come over here and do any of the DLC areas like the Gold Coast for the Thieves Guild or Dark Brotherhood. It's best to kind of start those early. You got Morrowind up here. You can travel there and do your leveling there if you so choose. But you can go anywhere in the game to level or do stories Eventually, you're going to wind up wanting to do all of them. Now, once you get to level 10, when you can start doing dungeons, you're going to want to go over and join the Undaunted as well, so you can be leveling them at the same time, because that is a skill line that takes a little bit longer to get leveled, but once you have it leveled, it's nothing beats the passives and the perks from the Undaunted. So it's always best to make sure to get those. And to get the Undaunted, you go, if you're in Daggerfall, you'll go to the Rosy Lion, and there'll be a quest NPC in there that will have you run the dungeon Selene's Web. Once you've done that, you'll start leveling up your Undaunted class or your skill line. Now, as far as your skills go, my suggestion, depending on what way you want to build your class, it's best to have your weapon skill line. It's best to get at least the skill lines for each type of armor. So as soon as you can, get 5 pieces of heavy armor, put those on so you unlock the skill line, and then do the same thing with medium and light. And then always have, depending on what your gear set to be, you'll wear 5 pieces of your main gear. So if you're going to be a tank, your 5 pieces of heavy armor, and then 1 piece light, 1 piece medium. That way you're leveling all your skill lines at the same time. Same thing with your class's main 3 skills. You want to try to keep at least 1 skill from each skill line on your bar, on your active bar. That way you're leveling them as you level. You're going to keep leveling those skill lines. Now, the more skills from a particular skill line you have on your active bar, the faster that skill line is going to level. And you can literally level any weapon of your choosing, depending on how you want to build your class. But every class can use every type of weapon. So the goal getting to 50 is to level as many skill lines as you can before hitting 50. I will be putting out more guides for beginners and a more detailed breakdown of each aspect of the game. So I'm going to do a video guide that does a breakdown for your crafting. I'm going to do a video guide that's a breakdown of like classes. My plan is to add more ESO content to the YouTube channel, because I do really enjoy this game. It's a fantastic game, and there's a lot of stuff that people still, I mean, it's been out for a while, but still a lot of stuff people don't know. If you are interested in more content from this channel, please feel free to hit that like down below and subscribe and hit that bell so you know when I post more videos. I also stream on Twitch. The link will be in the description below. I stream on Twitch Thursdays and Sundays. I do random streams Saturdays and other days that I may have time, but my guaranteed days are Thursdays and Sundays. Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Sunday starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. I will also drop links down below for the Twitter, the Discord. The Discord is a great place that we are building right now for people who enjoy all sorts of aspects of games. It is a community that we are building, and we really hope that you would join us there and join the conversation that we have over there on that Discord. I will also drop links for the Twitter and other aspects that you can keep up with everything that's going on with the channel and the content that's coming out. Until next time, I hope y'all have a fantastic day. I appreciate y'all watching the video. If y'all have any questions, please hit that comment section up down below. Ask me anything you want to know, any guides that you may like to see. Until next time, I love all your faces. Y'all take it easy.